Welcome to Direct Primary Care Benefits Podcast, your resource to understanding how DPC and the direct care model is fixing healthcare for employers and individuals alike. Learn from the most innovative and disruptive business executives, brokers, physicians, and healthcare influencers that are in the trenches, changing the way employee benefits are being administered across the country. I'm your host, Brett Shoemaker. Well, welcome, Direct Primary Care Benefits Podcast family. This is your host, Brett Shoemaker, and we are here for episode 6, and we have none other than my good friend, Mrs. Christal Wilson, all the way joining us live from Magnolia in Montgomery here in Houston, and really excited to have you today. So, Christal, thanks for making the drive, and excited about our conversation today.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me. Always enjoy a little field trip, getting out of the office, and especially to engage with you.
Awesome. Well, listen, Christal and I actually met at an Action Coach event, and we both quickly realized that we were both in the healthcare space, and she started asking me a lot of awesome questions. And I appreciate a benefits broker that is always out fighting for the fiduciary and really doing the best that she possibly can for her clients, and we're going to dive into that. But first, Christal, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you personally and a little bit about your family life. You are definitely a busy woman out helping companies, but at the same time, you've got a large family, and I could tell family is definitely important to you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm Christal Wilson. I am a health and life insurance broker. I have a sweet husband. We've been married for 12 years. We're a blended family. His name's Vance, and we are very close and blessed. We have 4 kids between the two of us and 4 grandkids and 1 on the way. So we have a full, fun life with them.
Full fun life with grandkids. I know that is going to be fun adventure when that happens, but grandkids keep you busy?
They keep us busy. They keep us young. They keep us laughing. They're just pure joy.
Yeah, grandkids are fun, I'm sure. You know, the best part about grandkids is you can give them back when you're done, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely the best part.
Well, we've got so much to talk about today and a short period of time to do it in. And so I want to dive in. So Christal was asking me some questions when we first started talking. We've got our nice notes here on the board. But Christal, you had asked me about DPC. You know, whenever we were talking, the very first thing that you mentioned when we started talking about DPC is that you use Sedera, right?
Absolutely.
And for those of you that don't know what Sedera is out there, most benefits brokers will, present stuff out of what I call the menu of BUCAs out there. And for those of you that don't know what BUCA is, that is Blue Cross, United, Cigna, Aetna, all of your major insurance carriers that most people think is quote unquote health insurance. And so what we are on a mission to do, Christal and I both, is to really let people understand that, insurance and health care is 2 completely different things. And so, Christal, why don't you tell everybody about Sedera, why you use Sedera, and then a little bit about your personal experience with Sedera, because you know that employers can always be a little bit kind of hesitant to use that model. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So, yeah, let's start with that. In 2015, my husband and I decided he was going to make a career change, completely different career change, and he would not have benefits anymore. And we've always had big benefits through bigger companies, and we were kind of at a loss, didn't know what to do. Prior to doing insurance, I was a kids pastor for 20 years. So I went to our pastor at the church and said, look, we're losing our benefits through Vance. What can we do? And he said, you know what, we have to figure it out. We've grown to a point where my wife and I need to get on something through the church. We want to offer it to other staff members. And so that's kind of how I started the journey and found Sedera. I've always been someone who likes to find new and innovative, creative ways to do something better. And Sedera sounded like that, but it also sounded a little too good to be true. And so it sounded a little like rainbows and unicorns to me when we first got on it. So I definitely understand when I meet with clients that there's a little bit of a pause. But once I tell them my story and how many clients I have on Sedera and the satisfactory rating that we have with them, they quickly get over it.
Yeah, and so for those of you that don't know, Sedera is a health share, right? So it's medical cost sharing, and you've probably heard of MediShare out there, and you use Sedera exclusively. So tell me one of the things, tell me why. What is the thing about Sedera that you really love? And you probably can incorporate your own personal story and what happened with you and Vance, but tell us a little bit about why you prefer Sedera over any of the others.
Okay, so one is for kind of a religious or more of a spiritual reason. I've always liked the idea of those sharing plans that are Christian-based. But what challenged me was you had to answer questions, and if you answered that you drank alcohol casually or socially, you couldn't be on it. You were falsifying your application. And so another one is if you're not a Christian, you can't be on it. And so when I just think about that, it's like, well, if someone can agree to have a healthy lifestyle, to use preventative care, to take care of themselves, why would they not be able to be on a plan like this too? It seemed a little judgy to have them not be able to be on those plans. So what I liked about Sedera is that they are faith-based in their principles and how they operate, but you don't have to answer these restrictive type questions that make you feel like
you're not accepted, or you can't qualify.
If you don't, or get a letter from a pastor that you tithe or go to church, like it just didn't set well with me. So what I loved about Sedera initially is that they were not like that. The second thing that I love about Sedera, there's a lot, so to pick two, is...
Well, tell me all of them.
They're very transparent. You know what you're going to encounter and what to expect. Their customer service is excellent. They don't have limits. If I have a $3 million bill, I'm not going to have to worry about being capped out on $1 million.
100%.
And the relationship that I and the agency that I'm with have with Sedera, they started building that relationship before I came into the agency, and we're not a number with Sedera. We can call. We have contacts. We can get help right away. And I just feel like we can go to bat for clients when things come up. And their commitment is to turn around their sharing needs within 30 days. When we had our first sharing need, and I was wondering if it was rainbow and unicorns, we got ours in less than 30 days. So I hear from clients that are frustrated with other plans when they come to me. I mean, one lady recently has an 18-month-old son, and they just settled her filing on her needs with another share plan from 18 months ago when she had birth.
Now, I know we don't like to badmouth companies, but let's tell me, please, what is that health share company out there? You don't want to say it?
It's Christian Healthcare Sharing.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, see, reminds me of all these hospitals that are supposedly faith-based organizations, but don't have, I think the percentage I heard recently, is out of all of the hospitals that are supposedly faith-based and Christian-based or what have you, they only have 2 or 3% of the money that they actually give to folks that are underprivileged or can't afford care, which is just crazy to me. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. So,
hey, one more quick thing. That's the other thing I love about Sedera is, as a believer, I love that 90% of what Vance and I pay on our monthly membership with Sedera goes directly to other people's needs. It's not going to a big company or organization for administrative costs, a bureaucracy. It's going to take care of other people's medical needs.
Yeah, so if you're not using it, you feel like you're actually giving back in some way or form or fashion to other people that actually need. That's awesome. So let's talk about your quick story. So Vance, actually, because you started using Sedera, I guess, what was it,
Probably
2019 you started using Sedera.
2019.
And so, it sounded too good to be true, rainbows and unicorns, but what happened when you actually used it, and what was your experience like with Sedera?
I was shocked in a good way. So Vance started having chest pains, called me one day. I picked him up. He works at Conroe Airport. I picked him up from the airport, took him to Methodist, and it was May of 2020. Had to sit on the curb, couldn't go in with him, just
oh, goodness.
You're okay, praying for him. And a few hours later, he came out. He presented as a cash pay patient. They treated him. He got excellent care. A few days later, maybe a week, we start getting bills in the mail. And I have a little app on my phone for Sedera. I just went in, created a need, uploaded the bills by taking screenshots, taking shots of them when they came in, uploaded it to Sedera. They contacted me and said, do we have your permission or authorization to negotiate cash prices for you? I was like, absolutely. 'Cause I've heard
Please.
stories from people who had to negotiate, cancer bills and crazy stuff with other carriers. So they started negotiating the prices with all the providers. We had submitted bills from Methodist and all the other providers that saw him that day, labs, people we didn't even know had done anything to him. And within 2 weeks, I get money deposited in our bank account and an emailed statement that said, you owe Methodist $1,500. That's our sharing plan we're on with Sedera. We self-fund the first $1,500. That's our IUA. And then for everything else, they told me they negotiated Methodist down to $0 after that $1,500. Dr. Jones, you submitted us the bill for $450. We've negotiated him down to $185. Pay him $185. And so I just could not believe that they put the money in a bank account, told me how to pay it, and all I had to do was contact a provider through email or phone and make a quick payment, and it was done.
Now, guys, you hear that now. So this is not a Sedera commercial, but here's the reality. Sedera works. It actually works. So health shares are definitely a great utility in the health care space. So that is an awesome story. So Christal, thanks so much for sharing that. And I want to just talk a little bit about, kind of how you do, your healthcare assessments and how what you do is a little bit different. So talk a little bit about what you do and what you feel is kind of like your USP, your unique selling proposition versus most healthcare benefits brokers out there, because we both know that you 100% fight for your employers, fight for your groups, fight for your individual families. So talk about what you do and how you address it and how what you do is a little bit different than other brokers out there.
Sure. I mean, I assume it's different. I don't know a ton of brokers who do what I do, but the ones that I've met say that this is different to them. But this is how I was trained through the agency that I've been fortunate to learn from and be with, which is Smart Choice Benefits. So what I do is I meet a client, they contact me, and I send them an initial assessment form, but I explain to them that we're going to look at health insurance, but we want to look at any areas of unprotected risk that you have also. So I kind of get to know them. It's not a quick transition, and I tell them up front, this is going to take a little time. If you're willing to invest this time with me, I'll help you find the best care without compromise for your dollar, and probably you'll be able to get some other things in addition for protection because you'll save money on your health care. So I call it a consultative approach. I get to meet with them, know with them. They're not just a quick call and I'll throw them on the marketplace. I really want to educate people, because when I learned about Sedera, we were literally looking at group plans that would have cost the church $1,700 for Vance and I, and we went to Sedera with $550 a month.
Yeah,
is what the church paid for that. It was eye-opening and sounds too good to be true. So I meet with clients.
So just pause for a second here. So I want everybody to hear this. So with Sedera, for her and her husband, it was $550-ish, right? And the rates are pretty similar right now as well, and it goes through age by age bracket. But $550 versus, and who were you guys with before with the church? Was it Blue Cross, United?
Nothing. We were just comparing.
You were comparing.
We looked at those plans. That's what we would have been at.
$1,500 to $1,700, and you literally paid 60% less, 60+% less of what you would be paying elsewhere.
With less out of pocket when we had an incident. We paid $1,500 for that trip to the ER, and Sedera Community negotiated and shared 100%. If we'd have been on a Blue Cross or a Buca plan, we would have had $5,000.
Yeah, 25, whatever the deductible was, right? Not to mention whatever the co-insurance was for all those crazy labs that you would have still paid.
Absolutely.
And it would have been even more. So speaking of that, when we talk about labs and imaging and we talk about direct primary care, what was your interest when we first started talking? Because you obviously have that consultative approach and really learning about it. So what was your interest around DPC? What value do you see as, obviously Sedera is kind of a foundational option that you use. So what did you see as DPC being able to maybe augment what you're offering?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Sedera, until I hit my $1,500, I'm responsible for that first $1,500. So I wanted to know from you, what can DPC offer us if I want to have a doctor appointment and I'm going to go in and pay $300 to see a doctor, or do I come to you with DPC and see a doctor for a monthly fee? There's just a lot of ways I think it can augment, and I wanted to learn more from you about what y'all do. I love the new free prescriptions that you were just telling me about. That's huge to a lot of people, is that through direct primary care, you can get free prescriptions, discounts on labs, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Discounts on labs, discounts on imaging, free prescription. We rolled out some pretty cool things now as of October 1st. So we've got stuff rolling out in little segments there. But now, Christal, you also have been noticing recently that a lot of folks are transitioning out of the workplace. You work with, yes. I think you mentioned some nurses. Talk to our listeners out there that are, maybe they're an employer group that is having maybe some 1099 employees. I think that would work great for that scope of folks. And talk about how you're helping nurses and folks that are transitioning out of the workplace, and how what you're doing is is not only giving them more value, right? But you're able to replace those dollars that they would have been spending in healthcare, and then being able to give them not just healthcare, but some other risks like life insurance, disability. Talk about that and kind of what the comparative price points are and how you're helping there.
Yeah, nurses, teachers, that seems to be the main careers right now that I'm getting a lot of calls that people are stepping away from, that they're primarily working for those benefits and paying anywhere from $800 to $1,800 a month.
Working for benefits. Isn't that crazy? Like we're making a decision where we work because of the benefits, and now you're providing a solution that can literally let them have more control, right? More control as to what job they want to take or where they want to go, right? And you're creating that solution for them.
Yeah, so you're not prohibited by your benefits as to where you're going to work. You're empowered. You've got your benefits individually. Yes. When you leave a job, you're not going to lose your life insurance and not have anything. If you own your own, it's yours. You can go work wherever you want. It stays with you. So what a lot of teachers or nurses are finding is that we can put them on individual plans for their family for less than what they're getting through their major employers. You know, and if they're healthy, if they don't have much of pre-existing, they're usually excellent candidates for Sedera, and that is significantly more cost-effective than going to a direct market for insurance. In Montgomery County, a lot of people do not want the government, quote, in their business. So they're just a very conservative area, so they don't care about getting supplements. So that's why Sedera is also great for our area. But in the terms of these nurses, or I have a guy this week I'm working who's in the oil industry, working for a big company, going to a smaller one. We can put a family on Sedera or another health insurance if Sedera isn't a good fit for them, and add the supplements like disability. If they go from an employer to their own or self-employed, they're going to need some long-term disability. So I work with different carriers on long-term disability to protect that risk. Critical illness. A lot of people will have these big benefits through large companies where they can get supplemental hospital indemnity, accident insurance, disability, short and long-term. I can do all of that on the individual side and also on small groups. And small business employers don't know that they can use this to attract and retain great employees. Right now, it is so hard to hire good employees. Literally with Sedera and these supplemental products for $200, $300 a month, you can cover your employee and add the supplemental benefits.
Incredible. So let me ask you this. So what do you do in the case? You mentioned pre-existing conditions. So what do you do, or what do you recommend that folks do if they're in kind of that pre-existing space? Do you, now just so everybody knows, even though you have a pre-existing condition, you can still use Sedera. They just won't cover that particular health challenge that is quote unquote pre-existing. So if you had cancer and then you broke your bone or broke your arm or whatever, then you can still use Sedera to cover your broken bones or broken arms, right? But it won't cover that, you know, maybe cancer that is in remission currently. So what is your solution? How do you handle that whenever you have pre-existing? Because there's probably a lot of folks out there that up until now are like, man, Sedera is an awesome option. But what do you do, and what do you consult people to do if they do have pre-existing? Yeah.
Well, the way Sedera looks at pre-existing is anything that you've had treatment or observable signs and symptoms of for the past 36 months. So if we're going back 10 years, that's not a concern. We're looking at the past 36 months. So they don't cover pre-existing the first year. The second year, they'll contribute up to $25,000 or share needs up to $25,000 on a pre-existing. The third year, $50,000, and the fourth year, it's fully fundable. So Advance and I got on Sedera. I have hypothyroidism, so I know I take my thyroid medication. It manages my symptoms, but I also knew I had to look at that risk. And for the first year, if I had a biopsy or a goiter or an ultrasound related to my thyroid, they would not cover it. But it was worth the risk for me, because when I weighed it out in a year or two, I would have the coverage I needed if something happened. And obviously, that's all we could afford. The church couldn't afford to pay $1,500 or so for Vance and I, so it was worth the risk for us. So when I meet with clients, I really dig into, have you not been to the doctor for something that's nagging because you don't have coverage right now, or you just haven't dealt with? Because I want to make sure they know that I don't want to leave exposed risk unless it's something they're willing to self-fund.
Gotcha. So do you ever, so it sounds like you are using Sedera pretty heavily, right? So do you ever place people in the marketplace? Do you ever place people with other BUCA plans? Tell me what that looks like.
Absolutely. So on my individuals, I do quite a few individuals on the marketplace if they're pre-existing and they're not a good candidate for Sedera. Last week at the end of the month, I enrolled a couple guys off network with another health plan because they made too much money for the marketplace. They weren't going to get a subsidy. One of them's wife went on Sedera because they were losing their large group benefits. She's a great candidate for it. He has diabetes. That's type 2 insulin. He's not a great candidate for it, so we put him on an off-marketplace plan. And we're supplementing with other products, so he's got an $8,700 deductible. And my goal is to supplement with other things that will pay money to him when he gets admitted to the hospital to help, if he does, offset that giant deductible.
Gotcha. So was he actually placed with a major carrier? Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. So you placed him with the carrier and then the wife with Sedera because it made more sense for her to do that way.
I mean, financially monthly and also with out of pocket. We could have put her on the same plan we put him on for a couple $100, or she could go to Sedera and have less out of pocket and better coverage when life happens. You know, you want your insurance for the worst day of your life, not the best day of your life, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You want to make sure when something happens, you have great coverage and as little out of pocket as possible.
Absolutely. And guys, here's the beautiful thing, right? Direct primary care couples so well with Sedera because Sedera even has the option, and you probably, Christal, are more familiar with this. I know when you enroll with Sedera initially, they ask about the primary and the teledoc side of it because Sedera does offer some of that. But I think they give you a little break in the premium when you have a DPC, right? So they give you a break in the premium because they understand, hey, this is
saving us some money if you have a DPC.
Yeah, exactly. So you're saving a little bit on Sedera. You've now got a DPC that you have in place. And you actually had a DPC, doctor. Remind me of your story. You told me a little bit about Vance. I think, was it Vance that had the DPC?
Vance. Yeah, so several years ago, hope you don't mind me sharing this, babe, but several years ago, Vance was on testosterone injections for testosterone replacement, right? And so we were just paying cash to go to the doctor and have labs. And I don't even remember how I found out about a DPC doctor in the Conroe area where we paid a monthly fee. We had her on a little app. Anything we needed, he could communicate through me. I usually helped him with all of this. He's better at flying and doing work, and I'm the one that's on top of this kind of stuff, making sure he's taken care of. So through this app, I could communicate with his doctor at any time, any questions. The monthly cost covered his visits with her, most of what we had to do, urinalysis, labs, that sort of thing, and that's how we would get his injection, his prescription for his injectable medication for his low T.
Yeah, I love it. So what most people don't realize is there's a lot of low T places out there that charge $200, $300, $400 a month. But if you have a membership to a DPC, usually DPC $75 to $125 a month roughly, and a lot of them will cover the T treatments, and you literally just pay for the medication. I think it's like $25, and that covers your 4 injections, whether it's once a week or once a month or however it is that you decide to do it. But DPC can save you an incredible amount of money. Especially with the T treatments. But not only that, but again, you get that care, right? So you have that accessibility to reach out to the doctor, 24/7 access. And the app that she's talking about is Spruce. So maybe one day we'll have Spruce and Sedera actually advertising here with us because it just makes sense. We're already giving them free advertising. What's up with that?
Right.
So,
and you get the same doctor every time. We developed a relationship with this doctor. Like, I appreciate Teladoc. I have Teladoc through Sedera. But every time we utilize it, I get somebody different. I want somebody who knows us.
Yeah, you want somebody who has that history where you're not having to repeat yourself over and over again and have that same relationship. So let's talk a little bit here. So when you look at all the tools that you have in your toolbox, right, you can also help people with the story you were just mentioning, the family that you were just helping. You actually help them with dental and vision, right? You help them with their health care. You help them with the hospital indemnity, right? And I think the price that they were going to pay, give everybody a little bit of what that looked like price-wise and what roughly they paid and all that they got in terms of value for that.
Okay. 30s, husband and wife, have a 1.5-year-old child. He's going from a large company to a very small company. And the new company benefits would be over $2,000, right at $2,000, a little over $2,000 a month. And that includes health, dental, life, all the things that come with group. He was just shocked at how much different the cost was. So we're looking at him off the group plans, on an individual plan, Sedera for health. They have no pre-existing conditions. We're doing long-term disability, so if he gets in a car accident, if something catastrophic happens and he can't work for 30 years, it'll pay 65% of his income during that time. We're adding an out-of-pocket plan, so if they get admitted to the hospital, they'll get cash paid to them to help offset their initial insurable amount with Sedera, and again, any missed work or whatever they want to use it for. Dental vision. I also will discuss critical illness with them. We're definitely doing life and health on him. Life on him and his wife. Only life insurance that they've had has been through the employer. So when he terms there at the end of this month, that's gone. I always recommend clients have their own individual life insurance on their spouse and their kids. And anything you can get from an employer, let that just be like your lanyard, your fluff.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the icing on the cake, right?
Absolutely.
So they did all of that, and I mean, I know everybody's different, right? But what was it, like 1,000 versus what they were going to pay, 1,700, 1,500?
No, he was at 2,000 with the new employer.
Okay.
That with them, and we're doing it for a ride at $1,000.
So literally half, and he's getting way more value of it.
Significantly more value.
Significantly more value. So now we just got to get him on some DPC, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, there you go. So tell me, when you look at all of the different options that are out there, what is your vision for the future? Like, what do you see happening in healthcare? This is just you and me having a conversation now and saying, hey, what do you think healthcare is going to look like? Because when I look at this, I see all of these transparency things that hospitals are having to do now are kind of being pushed in that direction in terms of transparency. You look at Sedera, everybody's all about transparency, like us with direct primary care, right? Like on our website, we talk about how much labs and imaging costs, right? And some people might be like, well, why would you just tell everybody what it is? Well, here's the reality, right? Like, it makes sense for you to have a doctor that's steering you in the direction. And one of the things that's really cool about direct primary care is that our doctors are actually engaged in that whole process. When you do file a need with Sedera, of course, you get a needs coordinator, right? And that's who we use. But it's always good to have a doctor that knows the process, that knows what these prices should look like, because they're the ones dealing with these surgeries and these labs and imaging on a regular basis. So it helps steer and guide and direct it. So when I look at this, I really feel like right now the healthcare space and all these courageous doctors that have gone on the direct care model are forcing, because the consumers are now realizing, right? Yeah, they're realizing. We're having podcasts right here, just right now, educating consumers on, hey, there's a better way that saves money. And not only that, is it better for the employee, but it's better for the employer. The employer saving money, they're able to deliver better care, and brokers and all of these big healthcare cartel, for lack of a better word, that's what I just came back from Free to Care, and they were really going in. I mean, some of the things I heard was just astounding. But what is your vision for the future? What do you think is going to happen in terms of healthcare? What do you think some of the big changes are around the corner? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I can definitely. It's obvious that the landscape of healthcare is changing drastically. People are waking up. I remember a few years ago, before we had Sedera, Vance dropped a barn door on his foot, and we didn't have any health insurance. And we went to an urgent care, or a clinic. It was $50, but to have an X-ray on his foot, it was $30. And I was like, if I still had that Blue Cross card that we just had a few months ago when he was through a big employer, we'd have had a $1,500 deductible before, instead of a $30 cash payment for dropping a barn door on his foot for the X-ray. So I see that landscape changing. When people hear about cash pricing discounts, they kind of scratch their head and are like, how does this work?
How does this work? I don't have an insurance card. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, it's freeing. Once you have to learn to do it differently, and I really find, like, in the smaller groups that I do insurance on, the tech groups and that sort of thing, they love it. It's the older people who've been programmed, kind of like I've been. I need my card, I gotta pay my copay. It's a little harder, but younger people love it and are quick to adjust to the change. But when I look, I just see the landscape changing. I think every year people get renewals, whether it's a small business or an individual, the prices are going up 7-14% at renewal time. And at some point, people are going to have to say, this is crazy. Why are we doing what we're doing? When I look at small groups, I don't look at the group as a whole. I do get a census and look at them that way, but I look at everybody individually. So if it makes sense, because some people have very serious health issues, we'll put half of them on one plan and half of them on Sedera, because the benefits of Sedera outweigh the other. But if you have diabetes, cancer, or something like that, you can't go on Sedera because of the risk that's exposed. So it's just being intentional. And I think a lot of brokers don't want to take the time to do that because it does take time. I could sell a lot more and make a lot more money if I didn't take the time to do it this way, but it just feels wrong.
It feels wrong, and it feels good when you're showing people, like, yeah, you might not make as much commission as these big buca plans, right? But you're showing people a better way to consume healthcare. And guess what's going to happen? When you take care of them, they're going to refer you, right? And that's what I think is happening. There's a vacuum that's being created, and it's people like you that I'm grateful and blessed to have been able to meet with, and because we're literally the pioneers changing healthcare. And so for anybody that's listening out there, whether you're employers, whether you're a broker, whatever you are, if you want to learn more about healthcare, I just put together a group on Facebook, and it's called the Healthcare Mastermind Group. And so you can find it on Facebook, and we're going to be definitely having some folks on there like Christal, like some of the doctors that we've had and the folks that are doing the direct care model. So be on the lookout for that. I'll put it in the show notes as well, so you can get involved in the conversation in that group. But Christal, I just appreciate you so much for making the trip out here today and sharing your wisdom. And for those of you that want to contact Christal and get in touch with her and see about getting your group into Sedera, or just having an assessment as to what your benefits look like, you can contact Christal at 936-217-5359. You can also find her on LinkedIn, and it's Christal, like Christ, like Jesus Christ, Christal, Christal Wilson. And again, that number is 936-217-5359. So thank you so much, Christal, for making the drive out here and being here in person today. And I'm looking forward to more conversations and really that healthcare mastermind group. That's going to be fun times.
It's going to be great. A lot of us getting together and just collaborating and learning from each other. I appreciate you and what you do, and I just think that day we met each other at the Action Coach thing was kind of like a
divine appointment. Divine appointment, divine intervention. I love it. Well, guys, that is it for today. We've got Christal Wilson here with us, and this is going to conclude episode number 6 of Direct Primary Care Benefits. So make sure that you go on to all of your favorite podcasting platforms, subscribe, give us a review, give us 5 stars if we've built some value in here today, and just make sure that you just share this with anybody that you know that is out there that's maybe having some challenges with healthcare and looking for different ways of doing healthcare differently, because we are on a mission, and that mission is to fix healthcare. So thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode of Direct Primary Care Benefits Podcast. This is Brett Shoemaker signing off. Have a great day, and God bless.